Hello and welcome to this Minecraft tutorial with me, Groover. Now today I have for you this shulker farm. This is the Shulker Sandwich Mark II. Now Mark II because it is new, improved, lower costs. The basic concept for this was from one of the super commenters, Super Colloid, who left a comment and just said, what about doing it like this? And they came up with a premise and how it would work potentially. I've kind of refined it into something which has kept the rates and actually reduced the costs, which was the original idea from them. So I'm quite happy with that. So it came out with around about that many, well, maybe that many, after 1 hour on its own. So the Mark II is a fraction slower. However, saying that, it actually doesn't need anything particularly special to build it. You can just go straight out to the end and start building this thing without too much issue at all. You just need a little bit of extra glass and some armor stands. They are the key parts of this build really. So if you take yourself out to the end with a little bit of wood, a little bit of stone, a little bit of glass, you should be absolutely able to build this. Anyway, you're probably wondering what this command block setup here is. This is my timer. So basically it's just changing the game mode over for the player. I'm using no add-ons, no anything at all. Just straightforward vanilla gameplay. Right, before we get started with this build, there's 3 things that you need to know. And one is you can build this in the overworld. You can take shulkers from the end to the overworld. I've got a video on that, go check it out. And you can just build it wherever you like. Another thing that you need to know based on that is whether your end gets reset by your server admins. Because if it does, you need to find out how far out they reset to. It may be the end of resets with this farm, I don't know. Anyway, the other thing is you need to check the item list down below in the description. It's all there. Go check it out. Make sure that you don't forget anything on the list before heading out, because you might find yourself crying lost in the end. And finally, you need to know that if you're not subscribed, you can hit that subscribe button right now, and it makes a big difference to me. And if you don't want to subscribe, hit the like button, thank you, and maybe even comment, that's also good. Right, we're going to build this farm based around an end ship, because an end ship has 3 shulkers in it, which is just about enough to do this job, and they're really easy to secure. Easier than the Chaos Tower, which I showed in the first version of this farm. So I'm going to show you this in game mode 0. So you want to keep breaking the line of sight between you and the shulker. As soon as you can see its eyes, it can see you. Oops. Ah, there we go. Right, I'm just going to let that wear off for a second or two. So it's not always entirely easy. I think this is one of the more difficult ones. But once you've got the block right there, it's dead easy just to do this. And then you can place another block right in front of it like that. And then you can get really quite close to it without worrying too much. So just like this. So the end rod next to it, you've got the piston, and the piston pushes the end rod into the shulker. Now as you can see, the shulker is completely safe. It's not a problem at all. And you need to repeat that for these other ones here as well. So the trick with this one is do not break this block that it stood on. We'll just take out these 2. We can probably just about squeak in the piston right there. And then the end rod on it. And then the button on there. Bang. Secured. Okay. And then finally the one at the top. This one's a little bit of a pain because you might get caught out by its firing pattern, but it's very similar to the first one. You kind of want to get as close as you can to it and place 2 blocks on top like that, and then you can get in there with your end rod and your piston. Right, that is all 3 of them secure. Very simple, still alive, game mode 0, no armor. You shouldn't die doing this. Okay, so once you've got those secure, you can actually get on with building the farm. Now what we're going to do to start off is we're going to remove everything above this bottom ladder. So we're going to take away all of this, everything around here, and we're just going to leave this one bottom ladder piece. Now what I should say before we start doing that is do not break the block that the shulker is attached to. Okay, it should be pretty obvious which one it's attached to. It's going to be sort of popping up like that away from the block that it's on. do not break that block, because if you do, it will teleport and then you have to repeat the process, and it may not be as simple as what I've just shown you. So this is what you should now have. Very simple. You still got your shulker set up there, and we've got the couple of shulkers inside. Now we're going to use this area as the center of our build. So I'm going to replace those 4 blocks temporarily with glass, just so I know where I'm counting everything from. Now we're going to go out 15 in each direction from each of these blocks. Okay, so we're going to go 15 that way, 15 that way, and then we're going to go 15 that way, 15 that way. So we're going to count out the first one, and we're going to make it really, really easy. So we're going to go that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. So we're going to create this great big cross, and we're going to use this as the basis for it. So that's what you should now have. Don't forget, these need to be full blocks. You can't use half slabs. You can use double slabs, but you've got to use full blocks one way or the other. And I'm using netherite right now because it's dead easy to count for tutorials and makes things easy. Now that we've got this shape, we're going to do this. We're going to go out by 4, including this one. So 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to step in 1. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Step in another. 1, 2. Step in another. 1. Okay? And then because I know what's coming, we'll put another one there. Okay, and you want to do that for all of the pieces, and what I'm going to show you is the same thing coming in this direction, doing the same thing. So that's 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so that's essentially what we're doing. That is the shape that we're going to do. Now you do that shape all the way around the outside edge, and we're going to turn it into a circle and fill in all of the inside. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what you should have in a few moments. So this is what you should now have. So you can see the rest of the ship underneath there, and we've got these blocks on top. Now don't worry if you're using the ship blocks to build this, it's absolutely fine. Like I said before, I'm literally just using the netherite because it's easy to count. Okay, so whilst we're here, we're going to just make up this little area right here. So we're going to cut all the way around this, and we're going to place glass. This is permanent glass, okay? Right in the middle here, and we're going to knock out those 4 blocks. Right, so you should now have a little hole just like that, and what we're going to do is we're going to go inside and underneath the outside parts of this, just place in some temporary blocks. Okay, and then on top of those temporary blocks we're going to place in our end rods, the 8 end rods, and then we can take away the temporary blocks again. And then on top of that we're going to go like so, with 4 glass blocks. Now this should put you in the middle right here. Right, so that is the AFK spot nearly done. We're just going to fill in around it with this glass pane. This is going to make sure that you don't get moved out of the area. That can happen with the, well, when they teleport, they can teleport through you, and that'll push you around. And we want to make sure you don't get pushed around too much and you just stay tight in this area. Next up is we're going to place in a location to get out from. So that is how I'm going to get out. I'm going to use a boat to jump out of the place. Very simple really. So from inside there, boom, boom, I'm out. Done. We're going to use slabs over the top of all of this, and what you want to do is you want to cover all of these solid blocks. I'm just going to move the boat out of the way for a few moments and then we'll place it back in. Now if I place the boat like right there, that's good, that's going to help me get out. Whilst I'm looking at it, we're going to place in 3 more pieces of glass pane, and that's basically our alignment blocks. So we can drop in there, and this is going to help us align as we fall, and the boat's going to help us get back out. So what I was saying was, we're going to cover all of this area with slabs, just everything on the top, and we're going to place in a slab like that around the edge. So you want to make sure that every single part of the edge here that's got a full block exposed has got the slab sticking out. It doesn't matter whether it's top or bottom, it just needs slab on it. So go ahead and fill in absolutely everything. Once again, it doesn't matter what kind of slab you use as long as you're using slabs. So that is what you should now have. You've got this lovely little hat with full blocks and slabs covering it, and then sort of the rest of the ship underneath. Now we're going to go ahead and start taking down the rest of the ship. So let's just go inside. You're probably going to have to break your way in a little bit. It's probably worth leaving that out of the way for the time being. But just remember that you need to put it back in. Now, one thing to absolutely remember whilst you're doing this is do not break the blocks underneath the shulkers. So when I say the blocks underneath, I mean if it's opening in that direction, this is the block underneath. If it's opening in that direction, then this is the block underneath. So this is not the block underneath, and you're safe to break it, even though the end rod is on it. Okay? We're not ready to break those yet. And we're going to break everything down to this level. So we can get rid of that, and we're just going to get rid of everything that is not required. So you've just got this floating platform in the air. So this is what you should now have. Now the next part is going to be kind of simple for me, but maybe a little bit difficult for you. But what I would advise is getting a water bucket, and I would waterlog this block right here, because we're going to build downwards. Okay, and that's always a little bit difficult, but if you've got a water bucket and you can waterlog a block, it's a lot easier than you think. So from here, we're going to go down 16 blocks. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now I need to say that these blocks coming down the way need to be glass. Now we're going to then come across so that this marries up with that right there. So you're basically building like a little glass wall. Whoops, just like that. Okay. Now, inside the farm here, what we're going to do is we're going to place in a solid block right in the middle there to mark off the middle line. And then each way we're going to go back 8. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's probably worth saying that at this point you can place in your hoppers and your chests. Okay, so let's do that, because that's just going to save us a little bit of time later. Because this is going to be the direction that we're going to be collecting everything in. So all it needs to be is like that. But centered. Don't do what I just did and get it off center. Make it centered. So, jeez, that's terrible. We'll leave that in because, you know, this is very real. It's authentic. So what we're going to have is we're going to have a water flow coming down in this direction and collecting up over there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then on the 8th block we're going to go up by 1, and then we're going to go back by 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that should bring us directly in line with that, which is absolutely perfect. And then we need to do the same in the opposite direction. Now I'm using wood here. You can use whatever blocks you like. Personally, I'd use full blocks because we're going to be working with water, and water can waterlog things that are not full. So, you know, that's just the way it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we go up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that brings us in line with that by the looks of it. So don't worry, if you have counted it out like that, it's exactly in the right place. Now next up is we're going to go up by 1 like that, and then we're going to go all the way across at this level. And we're going to need to do some filling in with some glass in a bit, but we'll worry about that in a second once we've set this level out. Okay, so we've set out that level there. I'm just going to fill this lot in with glass right here, and because I can't stand it, I need to take away that block that I didn't need. Right, and whilst we're filling in with glass, we should fill this in with glass as well, just like that. And this is going to make sure that items do not go flowing off in the wrong directions. Now on the sides here, I would say that you come across like that, and then you need to go up and across like that. Okay, so that the end's going to be capped off. Your items are going to flow down here and then drop off the end into another water flow that takes them into the middle. Now, because we've got that all set up, we can actually place the water in and just show you what I mean. Just go ahead and place the water in. This one's going to be a little bit different and maybe even a little bit confusing. We're going to go back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to go back and up like that. Okay? So this one is a run of 8. This one is going to be a run of 7. Okay? So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we go back and up like that. Okay, so it's 7 there. And then we're going to do 7 again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then like that. And then one more time, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now that should bring us up in line with this exactly. Okay, now all that we need to do is go ahead and fill in this entire area so that it replicates this as though we drag that profile across the way, all the way up to the end here. So let's go ahead and do that. Right, so that's what you should now have. Now we're just going to go up and make sure that the water can't flow out of that area. So very, very simply, we're going to go like this alongside it, and this is going to make sure that the items flow without landing on edges or anything like that. And then we come around this side, do exactly the same around the back, and start making our way around the front. Right, there we go, that is what you should now have. Now, next up is, I would go ahead and start filling in this area here. And you need to repeat this on all 4 sides. It should be much easier now that you've got this great big tray underneath you to catch everything that's going on, to catch you, whatever. But you want to fill all of that in with glass all the way up to the top, and I'll show you what I mean by doing all 4 sides in 8 seconds. So like from here, I would mark out there, and I would go across by 8. Like that, and that should bring you in line with that one right there. Okay, and you're going to build that all the way up. You've got a reach of 3 going downwards, so it's easy just to tower up by 3 and keep going. Okay, that is what you should now have. Very, very simple. Now, finally, we've got 2 more things to do. We're going to place in the water sources at the back, then we're going to remove all of the rest of the ship that's left. Okay, the only reason that's left there at the moment is because it's going to be... It'll make life a little bit easier removing these, but it's kind of up to you which way we do this, but I'm going to do it this way. So, water sources, very simple. You just do that. Okay, and that should cover everything over and just reach exactly to that front edge. If you've done that correctly. So the way to do that is 8 there, 7, 7, 7. And then that will marry up exactly with everything above. Right, next up is I'm going to remove this because it's going to be much easier to do that than having to deal with the shulkers firing at you whilst you are removing it. And you can use scaffolding to remove the final blocks behind the shulkers. Right, we're on the home run. We've just got to go back inside the farm and drop down onto there and place on your armor stands. Now I'd want to make sure that they're all facing me. Don't think it actually matters, I just like it like that. Like my bodyguards or something. Right, so you've got the glass above the heads, you've got the actual armor stands in place, the farm is done, we just need to release the shulkers. So this is possibly a bit where you're going to die, but don't worry, your items will be collected up in the double chest, or whatever collection system you got going. So from here, this one's going to be a little bit fun, because when I break this block, it's going to flip onto the top there, just like that. So what you're then going to have to do is wait for it to close, like that, and come on, break the end rod. There you go, done. It is now a wild shulker. And then finally, don't forget to remove the end rods which you leave behind, this one up here. So when you break this one, it should teleport into the farm for you. Now at this stage, I'm going to go into game mode 0 so you can see it in action. I'm just going to jump inside there. And the shulkers should start firing at me straight away. And I should be absolutely safe. Now one problem that we've got here is the spread of the shulkers is pretty wide. So they're very unlikely to actually hit each other with their shells. So how do we deal with that? Personally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until I see this one fire something and then jump out and run over and stand over the top of this one. Which is kind of a little bit counterintuitive, but the bullets should follow you inside the farm, okay? So this is just about getting the farm actually started up. Okay, another way of doing this is to get into the water streams because, you know, I've been wandering around down there for a little while and I haven't had any luck in terms of getting any reproductions. There we go. Basically, standing underneath one of the shulkers is the way to go. And we're going to just stay here until we've got like 5. Because they tend to pathfind in one direction before they try and pathfind in another. So they'll try and stick to one axis over trying to change the axis. Oops. As you can see, I've given myself a little bit of regen because I'm wandering around doing this with absolutely no armour on, which is very, very unlikely. Okay, so we've got a few more of them going in there. Let's see how we're doing. Are we getting any natural hits? That looks like a good position. Yeah, so you can see that it's flying towards that one first. That one should get a good duplication pretty soon. And once we've got a duplication on that, then we should get more. There we go, we're getting a bit of action now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed up the game a little bit now that we've got a few of these duplicating pretty much on their own. Or in line of sight of other ones. Yeah, there we go, we're flying. I'm going to speed up the game. And let this thing populate itself. Right, there it is. It is fully populated now. It's just doing its own thing. And basically I'm very safe in the middle here. The only thing that could be a problem is these guys teleporting through me and nudging me away. Okay, so the items are going to take a little bit of time to make the way to the front, but they've got a full 5 minutes, so I wouldn't sweat it. As you can see, they're slowing down there. If you wanted, you can use ice and that'll speed things up, but you just don't need to. And that is it, all done. You can decorate this however you like. What I would say is if it's within 8 blocks of where the shulkers are, make sure that you're using non-full blocks or non-solid blocks like glass. Personally, I would put a little bit more of this around the edge, just to make sure that we don't get any items getting lost along the way. So I'd actually extend this out by 2 in each direction to make it up to 12. You can just do something. I don't know, you can decorate it however you like. It's your farm now.